Hello, welcome to part 3 of home cured bacon. In part 1 we looked at how to make bacon cure. In part 2 we discussed how to actually cure, so we looked at the curing process from end to end. In this part, which is optional, we're going to look at how to smoke bacon. We're going to take a look at my trusty smoker made out of an old oil drum, and we're going to even discuss how to make an improvised smoker out of a cardboard box. In part 4, yet to come, we're going to look at how to cut and pack your bacon. But before all of that, at the end of part 2, we left it that we were going to hang our cured bacon for a couple of days to form a membrane over the surface called a pellicle. That's happened now, so let's take a look. Here is our bucket removed from our cool dark outbuilding, and here is our bacon. Now I hope the camera picks this up, but there is a shiny, sort of almost varnished look to the bacon, and it feels cool and sticky to the touch. That's the pellicle. To discuss smoking, we need to understand there are two kinds of smoker. There's hot smokers and cold smokers. The difference is that hot smokers cook the food whilst they smoke. So in effect, if you put some wood chips on the grill of your barbecue whilst you're cooking food, that's hot smoking. Yeah? Stick a lid on, they grill, they cook, they imbue smoke flavour all at the same time. What we're doing is cold smoking. So in cold smoking we are trying to keep the food raw while giving it a smoke flavour. And in order to do that, we need to generate the smoke in some fashion that is not going to heat the food, and we need to contain the smoke around the food until it takes on the flavour. To create the cold smoke, we're going to use this. It's a thing called a Pro-Q cold smoke generator. It's not complicated. It's wire mesh built into a spiral. And what happens is you light one end with a candle, I'll show you that later, and it gradually glows and chars its way around this spiral, and to get to the end takes about 12 hours, and it's just smoking. It never flames, just glows and chars, and there are embers, and they cause very cold smoke. And we need to contain that smoke. And the vessel I normally use to do that is an old clamp-topped oil drum. And all I've done is I've cut some holes in the bottom to put the smoke generator in. I put a hole in the bottom to let air in, and a hole in the top to let a little bit of smoke out, so there's constantly oxygen entering the barrel. I've put some bars in to hang meat from or to rest shelves on. That's it. That's all you need. We'll take a slightly closer look at it in a moment, but it's not a complicated thing. It is simply a vessel that lets a little trickle of air through to keep the smoke generator alight and contains the smoke around the food. Let me give you a guided tour to the inside of the highly sophisticated oil drum smoker. In the middle at the bottom sits the Pro-Q cold smoke generator, and there's a little hatch in the outside of the oil drum that I cut in with an angle grinder that allows me to pop that in once I've already got all the meat in place. There are two low bars, which are just bars of M8 all thread, 8mm threaded bar. And on those I can, if I wish, put a highly sophisticated and wonderfully fitting round stainless steel shelf. For the avoidance of doubt, that stainless steel shelf is the grill off an old kettle barbecue that we kept. Above that are two bars going the other way. And the two bars going the other way allow me to hang sides of bacon on butcher's hooks or anything else that I wish to hang. so that you get the full height of the oil drum. If you have a big thing, big piece of meat, big loin of pork or belly of pork or anything like that, that you want to hang and give lots of room for the smoke to circulate around. We have another shelf, if we choose, that can rest across the top of the two upper bars. And if we want really big meat, because these are just bolted in, we can unscrew the lower bars and allow lots and lots of room inside the smoker. So that's the inside. Let me show you the outside. So the outside of the barrel, we have a hatch here at the bottom. I've already undone the nuts. And that hatch can simply be removed to allow me to put the cold smoke generator in once I've got all the meat where I want it. And I put a little bit of fire rope around the outside just to give me a good seal. Over here we have an air intake, and it is literally just a 2-inch round hole, and I can cover a bit of it to reduce the airflow. Now I'm going to look at the top. On the very top I put 2 old cupboard door handles just to help me lift the lid. You don't need them, you can lift it up by the sides, it's just a bit awkward. We also have another one of these sliding covers on the top, and I drill a number of holes across the top, and I can again cover 1, 2, 3 of those smaller holes just to vary the amount of airflow that comes through the barrel. I'm going to be honest here, this was the first big metal smoker I built, and I thought you're not going to want a very big hole. Actually, to get this to work well, I generally run it with a 2-inch hole at the bottom wide open and 3 at least of the 4 holes on the top open to get sufficient airflow to stop the cold smoke generator going out. But that's it. Now here's the thing. I know it's going to sound stupid, but I hadn't realised this. Cold smoke generators, they're cold. Your smoker doesn't have to be metal. You can make a smoker out of an old wardrobe, a metal filing cabinet, a wooden kitchen cabinet, a plastic tub, or even, as we're going to do today, a cardboard box. So what I have here is technically referred to as a chuffing great cardboard box. In fact, it's far too big for our purposes, but it'll do for a smoker. And what I'm going to do is actually cut it down to reduce the height, because that cold smoke generator is going to put out a certain amount of smoke. No more, no less. You can't control its rate of burn except by varying the oxygen a little bit. So actually, you don't want your smoker to be massively bigger than the amount of meat you're smoking, because then all that happens is the smoke is just kind of diffused in a lot of air. So to use a bigger smoker than you need is a bit daft. Now clearly you don't want your meat right on top of the glowing coals either, so there's a little bit of a sort of judgment call, but I'm certainly going to reduce this in height by about half to make the vessel to hold our smoker in. What I'm going to do is actually leave the top open, which will become the bottom, and we can put the smoker on a couple of bricks and just stick the box over the top. We'll cut an air intake at the bottom, an air intake in the top, and we need something really sophisticated by way of a rack arrangement to hold the meat in the box. So firstly we need the equivalent of those metal bars in my big smoker, a bamboo stick cut in half, and then we need some kind of beautiful shiny stainless mesh, or alternatively one of the shelves out of one of them old plastic greenhouses that I've had kicking around for a good 10 years on the pile of that will come in useful one day. If you haven't got, I mean, what kind of a sensible person doesn't have an old greenhouse green shelf kicking around somewhere? What else? Bit of chicken wire, the grill off your grill pan, you know, the bit of metal that sits inside your grill pan in the house, an old oven shelf, anything, bit of chicken wire, whatever you've got, just something to stop the meat falling through those. You could even bend a couple of bits of wire into S-hooks and just hang those S-hooks off your bamboo cane inside your smoker. Any of that will work. So I'm going to cut it down in height, cut a couple of flaps, stick some struts across it, and fairly shortly we'll have a smoker. How underwhelmed are you? But it has all the features you need for a cold smoker. At the bottom, we have a manually adjusted variable air intake, also known as a slidey bit of cardboard. At the top, we have a baffle damped manually adjusted exhaust system, also known as a slidey bit of cardboard. Inside, we have all the features we need to smoke our loin of pork. Come and have a look. The grand reveal, or opening a cardboard box. So inside, we have a mesh on which our 2 pork loins can rest. We have 2 bits of bamboo poked through the sides and held in place with duct tape to support them. We have the cold smoke generator. And what I want you to notice is that the air intake here, where I'm wiggling my fingers, goes through there, between the bricks, and then up through the mesh on the floor of the cold smoke generator. So we've got really good airflow through the system. And what I plan to do, once I've got my shelf in, pork on the shelf, close it up, and I will probably put a couple of boards, a couple of bits of duct tape over there just to seal, and then I can restrict the airflow out that way and the airflow in on the front. So let's give that a go. Next thing to look at is how we light the cold smoke generator. So to fill the cold smoke generator, don't crush the sawdust into it. Remember your fire lessons, as we've said before, you need a good mix of heat, air and fuel. And if you crush this stuff down, you're excluding air from the mix, making it much harder for it to burn. Because bear in mind, this is a low heat solution, so we have to make the other two very good, so that minimal heat will keep the little char going. And the other thing you'll see me do here is I'm just wiping around the spiral, because I don't want the charred ember to jump across the spiral from one side to the other. That's nice and full. To light our cold smoke generator, we pop a tea light lit under there. You may notice that here there's an angle, so the wood chip is very thin at this end, which makes it much easier to light. It really is a very simple process, and you don't have to burn the whole tea light. A few minutes, more than sufficient. And you can see almost instantly we start to get char on our wood shavings. After 90 seconds, the shavings are burning quite happily, charring away, glowing, and you can see the smoke coming off. So that's going quite happily under its own steam. Let's get it put into the smoker and get smoking some meat. Nature of an improvised cold smoker like this is it will have a few leaks. That's okay. We need some airflow going through the smoker. So the fact that there's little wisps of smoke coming out the top, really not an issue. In fact, it shows that everything's proceeding just as it should. I like my bacon really well smoked. So we cleared out the cold smoke generator and put the bacon back in for another 12 hours for a total of 24 hours. And it's just coming up to the end of its second batch of smoking. So let's take a look what the bacon looks like now. think there's probably 30 minutes left in the cold smoke generator, so forgive the smoke coming out. But look at this. Doesn't that look epic? So that is cold to the touch. Bacon's taken on a wonderful colour. It's now ready for the next stage, which is slicing and packing. And we'll cover that in the next video. That'll be video 4 of the series. If you like this kind of content, please give us a thumbs up, talk to us in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. I need to get this bacon put away. We'll be slicing it up in the next episode. We'll hope to see you soon.